Hi, everyone. It's from Phyllis. Well, we have a very special show today. Our next guest is a mental health therapist and won a look-alike contest looking like Jeremy Allen White. You know him, the star in the TV series The Bear. Well, we want to welcome Ben Shabad and thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is awesome. You know what's interesting, Ben, is that when I was doing some research about mental health, I did not realize that Mental Health Awareness Month began actually in 1949. And during the month of May and continues even now, every single year in May, we celebrate or we recognize mental health awareness. How has mental health awareness and, the stigma, how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, I actually didn't know that it's been going on for that long, to be honest. That's an interesting fact.
Right.
So I think it's progressed in several ways. The one that stands out to me the most is how much more open people are
Mm.
to seeking therapy for themselves, to talking about therapy. It used to be something that I think was kept in the dark a lot more, and
Yeah.
people were ashamed to see a therapist and to let people know that they needed help. And I've seen over the last even 5 to 10 years,
Mm.
a major shift in that where people are speaking much more openly, much more candidly, and it's almost bordering on trendy now,
Right,
uh,
right.
to have a therapist and to acknowledge that openly. And so that's the biggest shift that I've seen, and it's a really good thing because then when you're going through something, you
Mm.
don't feel like you're so in the dark.
Right.
People having these conversations, it's just become much more part of the public discourse.
Yeah,
You're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with depression, you're having some relationship issues.
right.
You want to talk to somebody about it. And so that's a really good thing for the field as a whole.
So now growing up, is this
Mhm.
something you always wanted to do? Did you want to maybe be a basketball player? You know what I mean? It's like, did you want to be Jeremy Allen White? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think no, I didn't want to be Jeremy Allen White my whole life.
I know,
That
right?
would be funny.
Why?
Yeah. No, when you're a kid, you have the big fantasy dreams of being a pro
Yeah,
athlete and doing really extraordinary things like that. But I think as you get older, you realize that well, first you realize where your strengths are
yeah,
and where your interests lie. And for me, I've always been very interested in psychology, always very curious about other people's stories, always very interested in what makes people operate differently
yeah,
from each other and what how experiences impact the way that you see the world. And I always just found myself curious when I was talking with people, and a lot of other people would get bored hearing other people talk about themselves, and a lot of
yeah,
people could talk about themselves, but it was kind of weird. I just always liked hearing other people's stories. I always found myself as they were talking having questions and curiosity, and I always just wanted to know more. And so
hmm,
I never found that I was talking to somebody with a mundane story.
okay,
I just learned from a young age that the more you talk with people, the more you realize that their life experiences are unique. And because I liked that so much, I started studying psychology
hmm,
and found all of that to be very fascinating. And so it kind of was just a good fit for me. And I
right,
haven't regretted it ever since. I love the work.
yeah,
I'm very appreciative to my clients for being so trustworthy and allowing me to walk alongside them through their journey through life and
yeah.
help them discover new possibilities.
As an athlete is to watch like a coach watching coaching somebody or
Mhm.
coaching, a player. And it's kind of like a therapist is watching their patient and just growing and evolving and taking the advice and becoming a different person, not in a bad way, but in the positive ways. And so that's got to be an incredible feeling, right?
It's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible experience. You're right. A lot of therapy is similar to coaching.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of it is pointing out people's blind spots. It's
Yeah.
so hard to be objective about your own behavior. That's the truth.
Right.
And we always get caught in these cycles, negative thinking, negative patterns of behavior, and we keep finding ourselves in the same situations. And it's easy to attribute that to all these external things that are happening, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's a lot harder to think about your role in the situation, not to blame yourself, but just
Mhm.
to understand why things are happening the way they are. And
Right.
I view that as a lot of my role as a therapist. We talk through the situations they're going through, how it's making them feel, and then we're also acknowledging the behavior, the client's behavior and how that played a role. And that seems to have a seriously dramatic impact on their
Mhm.
ability to understand why things are happening the way they are.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, or let's
Yeah,
just talk about the bear in the room.
sure.
The look-alike contest with
Yeah,
this is fascinating with Jeremy Allen White. So,
yeah.
how did you hear about this, and how did this come about?
So, when the contest got released, I
Okay.
receiving some text messages from friends and colleagues, and they were saying you should go to this because I get all the time that I look like him, and so
Right.
um, I don't follow too much pop culture, and I
Right.
didn't realize these look-alike contests were even a thing. I thought this was
I had
just
no
some,
idea.
yeah, me neither. And I just thought it was a random event, like in the park, and so I wasn't even planning on going. Literally that morning. I just decided to head over there to see what was going on. I thought there might be like 20 people there and goofing around in the park. I just thought it would be funny. And I show up, and Humboldt Park's a big park in Chicago, and there were so many people. I mean, there's a massive hill in Humboldt Park. It was jam-packed with people. There were news agencies there, and I was not anticipating any of that. I literally thought I might miss it just driving by,
Right.
and because there would be so few people, but there were so many people there. Looked to me to be about 1,000, and
Wow.
yeah. And so when I walked in, it was not at all what I had initially expected.
Well, Ben, thank you again, and thank you for all that you do.
No problem, Phyllis. Thanks so much for having me. You're really big time, so I appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. And we will talk to you really soon.
Sounds good.